The checklist has begun. How many days until opening day?
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Greatly appreciate you every day for showing up, for getting the content, for being interactive, engaging, communicating back and forth. Greatly appreciate it. I want to thank our folks from Birddogs for making this happen. I'll throw it to Mark Onward. I'll let him tell you more about Birddogs.
Thanks, DP. Guys, I want to tell you about a new sponsor for Locked On College, Birddogs. Birddogs has shorts, they have pants, they have polos, gym shorts, Oxfords, khakis, all sorts of things for your entire life. I started wearing them. I look better, and I feel great when I'm wearing them. They've got these nice stretchy fabric and built-in liners, keep your boys there in place. They give me versatility throughout the day. I can wear them to the gym. I can wear them to the office. I can wear them around the house. I love them. But really, the only way for you to experience them yourself is to try them yourself. You can take my word for it, or you can give it a shot. And for now, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word. They'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Go try them out. Find that the website's a hoot. They've got little comics and funny names and all sorts of great stuff. So just go to the website and experience that. But try the shorts, try the pants, pre-order the polos, see for yourself over at birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. DP, back to you.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much for what you do, brother. Thank the folks from Birddogs. I'm a countdown guy, and so we are officially in countdown mode. 106 days until beat Minnesota. And over the course of the next 106 days, we're just going to go into all the dark corners of Nebraska football and to try to reach some point of common ground on what the expectations are, what the goals are, what's the path, what's the path of least resistance, the one that allows the highest level of success, and then what those expectations are. So for 106 days, as we head towards beat Minnesota, and everything, every focus, every decision, every drill, every conversation should be in full line. And we'll set this as a GPS. 106 days to beat Minnesota. So at the end of this is beat Minnesota. It's the end game for the GPS. Nothing else matters. You can put it all down. Focus on being able to beat a PJ Fleck team on the road. Shortened day. Again, 1 day shorter because you have to travel to Minneapolis. The Gophers are already at home, so there's a little bit of comfort there. Adding in what you do and then going in and doing your walkthrough day where you're really just learning, being in the stadium, kind of learning the locker rooms. What path are you going to walk through? Where are you going to eat your pregame meals? Who's going to eat with who? Again, this is the first full run under Matt Rhule and this coaching staff with a bunch of new players. And as we go through today's episode, and we'll set up future episodes because we want to talk about who are the players involved? Who are you looking for? What is required of each of them? And then for the coaching staff, what's required? What is the goal? What is the mission? What is the path and the way? So we set the GPS for Minneapolis, August 31st. Travel and play, coaching staff being organized. Here are the list of things that, for me, I feel like have to be determined, identified, crafted, developed, curated, and set into motion for August 31st. And this is a long list, and so we'll go through and a lot of reasoning behind it. Feel free to put priority one for you. What is the first thing that has to happen for there to be success on August 31st for Nebraska? What thing is it that will determine? And it has to be a thing that is palpable. It has to be tangible. It has to be something that you can say, this is what this will look like on August 31st for Nebraska to have the greatest amount of success. And I want to be clear. It has to start with Matt Rhule. Success on August 31st and beating Minnesota requires that Matt Rhule, in full, has ownership of and is in charge of. And there's a difference between having ownership of and being in charge of. We've known past coaching staffs that had ownership of, but they did not have charge of. Charge is control of direction, path, elevation, and mission. Ownership is just to say it's mine and to be in place and to claim whatever comes from it, good or bad. Charge is the actual mission, purpose, demand, development path. And Matt Rhule will not be able to get this team to a level of beating Minnesota, because this is the thing that hasn't been done in recent years, without full control of the first thing that he has to take care of, his staff. He has to. He has to delegate, but he has to maintain ownership and charge of. And that speaks volumes because you have a new offensive coordinator. For every player who plays offense for Nebraska, there is a new coordinator who is going to be the persona of the day, who carries effort level, mission level, energy level, IQ level, and execution level. That is also the case on defense. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the next segment. But offensively, Matt Rhule has to identify exactly what it is that he wants the personality and persona of this Nebraska offense to be based on the talent that currently exists. And we know that your plus numbers in scholarships. And as you go from group to group, if you feel comfortable, then you have to make changes based on the fact that, one, Matt Rhule feels comfortable in the talent level of each of those scholarship players. Does he look at any of those rooms and feel like, you know what? If my coaching career depended on it, am I good with the talent in the room? And am I good with the coaches who I'm trusting my coaching career reputation resume on? Now, he chose Marcus Satterfield. That trust level is one that I have to reiterate, that Matt Rhule has decided that he is willing to trust his own personal and professional reputation, his full resume, his livelihood, and his legacy at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln on the work, IQ, efforts, and development by Marcus Satterfield. He also has to have full trust because Satterfield can't put anything into place without having the right pieces. Playing chess without a king is not chess at all. You're playing checkers, just glorified. Does he have the pieces he needs to be successful, not only against Minnesota, but against everybody else? But do you line up with an offensive set 3 deep that is of the level of Minnesota? Minnesota has been functional and putting up 20-plus points against Nebraska the last several years under PJ Fleck. They feel comfortable in playing at home. The crowd will be insane, and business will be good. But does Matt Rhule feel like Nebraska currently has an offensive roster that is deep enough, talented enough, mature enough? Because maturity is the thing. You're talking about a roster that has 8 seniors on it, and that goes against the very nature of what everybody says about Big Ten football, which is get old and stay old. That's a problem. But Matt Rhule will have to set the standard and set boundary in play for Marcus Satterfield and this offense that Coach Rhule, Coach McGuire, that they all have the talent that they think they need, the time and duration. They have 106 days to get 3 scholarship quarterbacks up to Big Ten standard, and none of the 3 have been in that place. None of the three have won games in the Big Ten Conference. None of the three have played at the level of the opponents that Nebraska is going to face, and none of the three have executed under Marcus Satterfield's current offense in a regular season game. The offensive line we'll talk about. Why? Because it's important. 106 days to get all things in order. We'll throw it to break when we come back. More Locked On Huskers. We'll talk about 106 days. Let's get it. Hey, Gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers again. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Thank you, everydayers. You are appreciated. If you are not an everydayer, hit the subscribe button, get the content to you, and we'll start to identify you folks. I want to thank the folks who put comments in because I'm using those to build future episodes of Locked On Huskers and get you the content and conversations that you want. Again, I want to point this out, and this is the thing you'll know about me. It's not my job to have all the answers. It's my job to get to the right question. Like, I don't want you to think, I don't want to think for you. I want you to feel how you feel and have some understanding about why you feel that way. 106 days, 106 days between Matt Rhule and his first day of success beating Minnesota. The countdown is full and it's legit. We put a pin in the offensive line because it's important. Beating Minnesota is going to require that Coach Rhule has this particular group of offensive linemen at peak form. Listen, Minnesota's defensive seven is athletic. Those have been the problems. They have been violent. They have been aggressive. That's been their recent history. They don't want to change from the success that they had, and they've had success against Nebraska. So they'll come in the door with some idea about what Marcus Satterfield wants to do. But Matt Rhule has to make a decision. Is he going to ride or die with this offensive line under Coach Rhule? Can he trust them to win Big Ten games? In Minnesota, albeit athletic, a little bit more athletic than a lot of the teams in the Big Ten, it's still a Big Ten football game. And the question becomes, can this offensive line group be physical, dominant over periods of time to beat Minnesota, which is going to be, we understand that, like, we don't see this as a slinging around. At some point, in order to beat Minnesota, the fat guys up front are going to have to move bodies and do it with consistency and purpose. It can't just be out there. It'll be 8 deep. You can imagine that those would be the numbers. We don't know what 8 that'll be. We have some idea about what the ideal 5 would be, who the top 6 would be. Number 7 provides some flexibility, and then 8 is the one that, who's grown the most in the 106 days. But the glue has to be applied appropriately and held together and formed in 106 days. So that group is dominant in Minneapolis. The offensive line has to be dominant. And you have 106 days to get stronger, to get more athletic, to get a higher football IQ, a greater understanding of what Coach Rhule wants, a deeper understanding of what Coach Satterfield wants, and then formally being accountable and responsible to Matt Rhule and the trust that he is putting in them to honor his name, his career, his resume, his legacy, and that of Nebraska football. The offensive line has to be beholden to the image and legacy of the pipeline. Nobody expects this year's offensive line to be pipeline great, but they have to be pipeline good in order for them to beat Minnesota. And that is not an expectation that's too high. That is not a standard that's too high. Ask yourself this question: can that offensive line be dominant, physically dominant, with high IQ and purpose against a Minnesota defense that they have not had that level of success against in the recent years? Can they? 106 days to build the beast. There's 0 point in desire to go into Minneapolis tiptoeing and hoping. Nope. Work has to be done, and it will start with the big uns up front. I'm going to let you know, I was going to do two different versions, an offensive version and a defensive version. But I think this one stays with offense just because we calling an audible. That's coaching. It's a thing that has to happen. We'll wait and do defense in the next episode because there are things that have to be done in the 106 days, and we'll identify some of the talent as well. Jeff Sims has 106 days. Heinrich Haarberg has 106 days. Matt Rhule has 106 days to decide if those two players, if he can beat Minnesota with those two players. Can he beat Minnesota? And put a pin here. Can he beat Minnesota with either of those two players? Because we know Big Ten football and we know Nebraska football, and there's no guarantee that anybody takes the field and finishes. Ideal world, Jeff Sims is the starter and he starts and finishes the game. But in playing the type of game that we think Jeff Sims is familiar with and putting his foot in the ground and being physical, of all the defenses that Nebraska will face this year, sans Michigan, Minnesota's the one that I think creates problems because they have athletes in that front seven who would love to take a shot at Jeff Sims. Like we've seen it. We've seen the way they move. But Jeff Sims is going to have to throw the ball and he's going to have to run the ball. This is going to be a day. This will not be a single-facet day and get victory in Minneapolis. Jeff Sims is going to have to throw the ball around. He's going to have to hold people with play fakes. He's going to have to pull sometimes to catch linebackers that cheat because Minnesota linebackers cheat. We call them cheating eyes. They got wandering eyes. They can't always stay focused on the thing that's there, and ball handling will be in effect. And if Jeff Sims can have 5 or 6 runs throughout the course of the game that is positive yards on purpose, not just, hey, I'm dropping back, nobody's open, I got to pull it and run. I'm talking about in a zone read situation where he pulls it and he gets one-on-one on the edge with somebody and makes them miss or or he makes the play. But he's also going to have to be turnover free. Listen, for what we talk about, Jeff Sims will be asked to make throws. Some of them are high-risk throws. These are down the seam routes and those long out routes that Minnesota gives you and kind of dares you to. Are you bold enough to make throws in those spaces? Are you willing to take the chance and make those plays? Jeff Sims is going to have to be on point. He has 106 days to get on the same page and of the same mind as Marcus Satterfield and Matt Rhule. Now, he may already be there, but I'm just letting you know, Minnesota's a different cat. It's a different breed. So whatever's in play, Jeff Sims will have the responsibility, the task, the demand to be more athletic, to be sound, to be of high IQ, to not make mistakes, to not give the ball, to let that defense rest and get off the field, and then to put points up on the board in critical and crucial moments in Minneapolis. He has 106 days to learn the playbook, to learn the personnel, to learn the audibles, to get into Minnesota's defense, get into the playbook, figure out who his 3 main receivers are going to be because we don't know. Who are his tight ends going to be? We don't know. Who's going to be on the field on third down? We don't know. Who's going to be on the field on second down? Learning formations and schemes and deciding, okay, what are our tendencies going to be? Because currently, on this day, 106 days out, we don't know the tendencies of Nebraska's offense. That is a statement of truth. 106 days, and as we head into camp, some of the roster will change. We'll get some stories about the things that are being learned. You'll see workouts and drills. You'll find out more about recovery from injuries and how healthy people are, people who are changing their bodies, changing their strength levels, changing their endurance. 106 days to change, craft, carve out, and identify what Nebraska will be offensively August 31st in Minneapolis. We'll throw the break there when we come back. We'll close out. 106 days. 106 days until beating us. Hey, gang, thank you. I'm DP. This is where we are, Middle America, 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, America, home of the Fighting Huskers, University of Nebraska, and Locked On Huskers. And I get fired up because the coach in me identifies the workload. There's a checklist of all the things that have to be done in limited amount of time. And everything that needs to be done on August 31st doesn't need to be done today. But there are some things that if they're going to be ready August 31st, the work has to be done now. People will tell you that games are won, quite frankly, in the offseason, in the improvement season. Teams that have an offseason don't get better. Teams that use the time in between spring game and game week 0 use it as improvement season, change themselves for the greater good. They have to improve. And at every group, including the coaching groups, improvement has to happen. They say get 1% better. And I'm going to tell you, get better, get all the way better every day. Do all the things today that you can do. And we're talking about Jeff Sims, talking about the offensive line. We're talking about a tight end room where we don't know who the starting tight end is going to be because you're counting on people to do things that we've never seen them do before. We've never seen Derrick Gilbert in a Husker uniform line up at tight end in a regular season game. We've never seen Thomas Fidone in that situation and circumstance. We've never seen it in full. We've never seen a 40 offensive play Thomas Fidone for Nebraska. We've never seen this offense that's going to line up with Marcus Washington as receiver 1A. We've never seen that before. We've never seen Billy Kemp IV and Joshua Fleeks. We've never seen them in regular season and Big Ten play for Nebraska under Marcus Satterfield's offense being led by Jeff Sims. And with whatever offensive line lines up to protect, defend, and define them. Because those are all the things, 106 days, that's everything that has to be done, has to be built, identified, created, all of the coached through, and everything that is either allowed or coached. 106 days. And key to that, I'll say this, identifying running back 1A and what's going to be asked of them. Is running back 1A Anthony Grant, who is an 18 carry a game with Gabe Ervin as a 12 carry a day guy? Is it Ramir Johnson, who comes in and gives you flex in the passing game so you can bail out Jeff Sims by having short throws in open space to get the ball out of his hands to take some of the steam off the Minnesota pass rush and take some of the pressure off the offensive line? We have to figure out in 106 days who, in fact, is running back 1A and what's going to be asked of them. Could you count on Gabe Ervin in a 26-carry game in Minneapolis? Can you count on that from Anthony Grant? Things we know and things that we think we know. 106 days to get yourselves ready to beat P.J. Fleck and the Minnesota Gophers. The countdown has begun, and it's legitimate. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers first watch and listen each and every single day. I'm DP. Greatly appreciate you every day as we'll close with the 3 words that will say so much over the next 106 days. Go Big Red.